The wind howled across the deserted streets of Elmsworth, a town so small it rarely made the map. But inside the worn walls of Maple Hill Hospital, the quiet hum of fluorescent lights mixed with the occasional cough and the creak of shoes on polished floors. Most people overlooked hospitals until they needed one. Just like they overlooked people like Clara Daniels. Clara stood by the nurse's station, gently smoothing her cardigan and pushing a loose strand of gray-streaked brown hair behind her ear. 53, soft-spoken, and modest, Clara was the type of woman most people didn't notice in a crowd. She never raised her voice, never sought the spotlight. A widow for 6 years and mother to 2 grown children who now lived states away, Clara had lived her life in service to others. She worked part-time at a senior care facility, cooked for her neighbors, and volunteered at the local church. Nursing, though, had always been her calling. Quietly, persistently, faithfully. So when Maple Hill Hospital faced a staffing shortage due to a surprise flu outbreak among its younger nurses, Clara was the last-minute call. A simple woman brought in as a temporary helper, just until things stabilized. No pressure, they had told her. It's only for a few shifts. Just assist the head nurse. Stay out of the way. Clara nodded, just grateful for the chance to serve. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. The crisis didn't arrive with sirens or flashing lights. It came as a slow unraveling, a child in room 206 who developed a rash no one could explain. An elderly woman in 312 whose oxygen levels dropped for no reason. Then another. And another. Within 36 hours, the hospital was overwhelmed. A mystery illness. Symptoms that didn't fit the flu. Lab results pending. Doctors unsure. And worst of all, panic beginning to take root. The hospital director, Samuel Grayson, was known for his confidence and crisp suits. But even he was now loosening his tie, snapping at staff, and making midnight calls to the state health department. He barely noticed Clara in the halls. Why would he? She was a temp. An extra pair of hands. Nothing more. Until the night the monitors started beeping faster than hands could respond. It was just past 2 a.m. Room 314. Little Eli Matthews, a 10-year-old boy recovering from a simple appendectomy, was suddenly convulsing. His mother screamed. The on-call doctor was stuck in ER with a car crash victim. Nurses were running in opposite directions. No one knew what to do first. Except Clara. She didn't shout. She didn't freeze. She moved. With calm precision, Clara stabilized Eli's head, checked his airways, and gently spoke into his ear, calming him through the tremors. She called for magnesium sulfate and gave exact dosages like she'd done 100 times in the past. Though no one at Maple Hill knew she had once run pediatric ICU in another state before taking early retirement to care for her ailing husband. Get oxygen on him. Now, she said firmly but gently to the panicked young nurse beside her. Eli stabilized within minutes. His mother wept into Clara's shoulder. How did you know what to do? Clara just smiled, brushing the boy's damp curls from his forehead. Sometimes, experience is the quietest voice in the room. By morning, everything had changed. Word spread quickly. Clara, the temp, the fill-in, the simple woman, had saved a child when no one else could. Dr. Kravitz, the hospital's most seasoned physician, asked for her opinion during rounds. Nurses started shadowing her for guidance. Families began requesting the gentle older nurse who listens. But Clara didn't bask in it. She just kept working. Organizing supply closets. Checking on lonely patients no one had visited in days. Holding the hands of the dying. Whispering prayers over sleeping children. She was the heart of the hospital no one saw coming. Then, 3 days later, the real storm hit. A bus carrying senior citizens from a church retreat crashed on Highway 19 during a freak thunderstorm. The emergency room was flooded with the wounded. The ER doctor fainted from exhaustion. Backup was hours away. Samuel Grayson stood frozen in the hallway, staring at the gurneys that kept coming, the blood that wouldn't stop. Clara took off her cardigan and stepped forward. "Mr. Grayson," she said softly, placing a steady hand on his arm. "You need to assign roles. Fast." I can't," he stammered. "You don't have to do it alone," she said. "Let me help." For the next 12 hours, Clara coordinated triage like a battle-hardened general, with kindness in her voice and fire in her eyes. She calmed crying nurses, comforted terrified patients, and made decisions that saved lives. Not because it was her job, but because it was in her soul. Days later, when the news broke, it wasn't about the bus crash or the mystery illness. It was about Clara Daniels. Unknown nurse saves hospital during crisis. Simple woman. Extraordinary heart. Interviews poured in. A major healthcare network offered her a permanent senior advisor role. Nurses from all over the state wrote letters of thanks. Even the governor sent a handwritten note. But when asked why she stepped up, Clara simply said, "I wasn't called because I was the best on paper. I was called because someone needed me. And when people need you, you show up with everything you have." The crisis passed. Patients healed. The mystery illness turned out to be a rare virus, quickly contained. The hospital returned to its normal rhythm. But Clara left behind something that couldn't be measured in charts or awards. She left behind a culture of care. Young nurses began checking in on patients beyond their charts. Doctors took extra moments to explain treatments. Staff started a gratitude board in the break room, Clara's idea. On her final day, Samuel Grayson gathered the entire hospital in the cafeteria. He stood before them, emotion catching in his throat. "I used to believe leadership came from titles and degrees," he said. "But Clara reminded me that true leadership comes from the heart. She didn't come here for glory. She came here to serve. And in doing so, she changed us all." He turned to her, eyes moist. "Thank you, Clara. For showing us what it really means to care." As she walked out of Maple Hill for the last time, a little girl from the children's wing ran after her and pressed a small paper heart into her hand. It read, in crooked crayon letters, "You're the hero we didn't know we needed." Clara smiled, eyes shimmering. Because in the end, being noticed had never been her goal. Being needed, that was enough.